Have you ever wondered about the rich history of Indonesia? Let's dive back in time to prehistoric Indonesia, where human habitation dates back as far as 1.5 million years ago. This vast archipelago has been home to humans for longer than we can imagine, a testament to its rich, fertile lands and strategic location. Life in prehistoric Indonesia was not much different from other parts of the world. The earliest known inhabitants were hunter-gatherers, living off the bountiful natural resources around them. They hunted, fished, and foraged for food, crafting tools from stone and bone to help them survive in their environment. However, as time passed, these early societies began to evolve. They transitioned from being solely hunter-gatherers to agrarian societies. They began to cultivate crops, domesticate animals, and develop more sophisticated tools. This shift marked the beginning of agriculture in Indonesia, a significant milestone in the country's history. These agrarian societies laid the groundwork for the complex civilizations that would later rise in Indonesia. They developed systems of trade, governance, and culture that would shape the archipelago for centuries to come. From these humble beginnings, various kingdoms and empires began to rise across the archipelago, setting the stage for Indonesia's rich history. Indeed, the story of prehistoric Indonesia is the story of human resilience and ingenuity, a testament to our ability to adapt and thrive in diverse environments. It's a fascinating journey back in time, and it's only the beginning of the intricate tapestry that is Indonesia's history. Two of the most significant empires in Indonesia's history were the Srivijaya and Majapahit empires, who flourished from the 7th to the 14th centuries. Let's journey back to the times when these two empires reigned supreme, leaving indelible marks on the cultural, economic, and political landscapes of Indonesia. The Srivijaya Empire, which rose to prominence in the 7th century, was a maritime and commercial kingdom. Its strategic location on the Malacca Strait made it a pivotal trading hub between China and India. The Srivijaya mastered the art of diplomacy, establishing cordial relations with neighboring kingdoms and empires. This not only ensured their survival, but also allowed them to thrive, fostering a rich cultural exchange that was mirrored in their art, architecture, and societal norms. As the Srivijaya Empire gradually declined, the Majapahit Empire emerged in the late 13th century. Known for its military prowess, the Majapahit Empire extended its influence far beyond the present borders of Indonesia, incorporating parts of present-day Malaysia, Singapore, the Philippines, and even reaching as far as Thailand. The Majapahit Empire was a beacon of Hindu-Buddhist culture, fostering a unique blend of indigenous and Indian traditions that can still be seen in Indonesian culture today. The economic impact of these two empires was significant. The Srivijaya Empire's control over the spice trade, coupled with the Majapahit Empire's dominance over the regional trade routes, laid the foundation for Indonesia's future economic development. These empires were instrumental in establishing Indonesia as a key player in the global trading network. As we delve deeper into the past, it's clear that the Srivijaya and Majapahit empires' influence was profound, shaping Indonesia's cultural identity, economic growth, and geopolitical strategy. They introduced sophisticated political systems, promoted cultural exchange, and built economic networks that would continue to serve Indonesia for centuries to come. But as these empires faded, a new player entered the scene: Europeans. Their arrival would trigger significant changes, setting the stage for the next chapter in Indonesia's fascinating history. The 16th century marked the arrival of the Portuguese traders, followed by the Dutch, who established the Dutch East India Company in the early 17th century. This was the beginning of European influence in Indonesia. The Portuguese, being the first Europeans to set foot on Indonesian soil, initially came in search of spices. They established trading posts along the coastlines, with a significant presence in Malacca and the Moluccas, also known as the Spice Islands. Their influence extended beyond trade as they introduced Christianity to the region, which still has a noticeable presence in parts of Indonesia today. However, the Portuguese were soon overshadowed by the Dutch. The Dutch East India Company, or VOC, was established in the early 17th century. The VOC's primary objective was to control the spice trade, and they did so with an iron fist. They monopolized the lucrative trade routes and established a network of fortresses and trading posts throughout the archipelago. The early 20th century marked the emergence of Indonesian nationalist movements demanding independence from Dutch colonial rule. Indonesia, an archipelago of diverse cultures and languages, had long been under the thumb of the Dutch East India Company. But the winds of change were blowing, and the longing for freedom was growing stronger. These nationalist movements were not a sudden occurrence. They were the product of decades of simmering discontent and the inspiration drawn from the global wave of decolonization. These movements were diverse, mirroring the rich cultural mosaic of Indonesia itself. They encompassed intellectuals, peasants, religious leaders, and workers, all unified by a shared dream, a free and independent Indonesia. The real turning point came in the wake of World War II. The world was changing. Old empires were crumbling, and the ideals of self-determination and independence were echoing across colonized lands. Seizing this historic moment on August 17, 1945, Indonesia declared independence. It was a bold and defiant act, signaling to the world that the people of Indonesia were ready to shape their own destiny. Yet the journey to independence was far from smooth. The Dutch, unwilling to relinquish their lucrative colony, responded with military force. Thus began a brutal 4-year war, a struggle for independence that tested the resolve of the Indonesian people. It was a period marked by conflict and sacrifice, but it was also a time of unity and resilience. Despite the odds, the Indonesian people stood firm, their spirit unbroken. Their struggle caught the attention of the international community, leading to mounting pressure on the Dutch to recognize Indonesian independence. And finally, in 1949, the Dutch succumbed to this pressure. They officially recognized Indonesia's sovereignty, bringing an end to more than 3 centuries of colonial rule. This was a momentous victory for the Indonesian people. They had faced down a colonial power and won their independence. It marked the birth of the Republic of Indonesia, a new nation ready to chart its own course in the world. In 1949, under international pressure, the Dutch finally recognized Indonesia's independence. Since gaining independence, Indonesia has faced numerous challenges, including political instability, economic development, social issues, and natural disasters. The early years of independence were marked by political upheaval. Power struggles between political parties and the military, coupled with regional rebellions, threatened the unity of the newly formed nation. Yet amidst the turbulence, Indonesia managed to establish a democratic system, albeit a flawed one, and has since transitioned through several forms of government, each leaving its own imprint on the country's political landscape. Economic development, too, has been a relentless challenge. In the initial years, Indonesia grappled with the legacy of colonial economic structures, struggling to shift from an economy largely based on export-oriented agriculture to a more diversified one. Over the decades, the nation has made remarkable strides, transforming itself into a major global player. Investments in industries such as manufacturing, services, and technology have spurred growth, and today, Indonesia boasts the largest economy in Southeast Asia. Social issues have also been a constant in Indonesia's post-independence journey. The country's vast archipelago, with its diverse ethnic, linguistic, and cultural groups, has posed unique challenges in terms of social integration and cohesion. Yet it's this rich diversity that has shaped Indonesia's national identity. Efforts towards education and healthcare have seen significant improvements, but challenges like poverty and inequality persist, requiring continuous attention. Natural disasters, too, have tested Indonesia's resilience. The country's location along the Pacific Ring of Fire makes it prone to earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions. Each disaster has brought immense loss and suffering, but also stories of incredible resilience and community spirit. The government's ongoing work in disaster prevention and response showcases the nation's commitment to safeguarding its people and their future. Despite the challenges, there's no denying the progress Indonesia has made since independence. The nation has navigated its way through political upheaval, economic transformation, and social change, all while dealing with the recurring threat of natural disasters. It's a testament to the strength and resilience of the Indonesian people, who have turned challenges into opportunities for growth and development. Despite these challenges, Indonesia has emerged as a diverse and vibrant nation with a rich cultural heritage and a rapidly growing economy. The journey hasn't been easy, and obstacles remain, but one thing is certain. The spirit of Indonesia, shaped by its history and its people, continues to thrive and evolve.